Now, I'd like to welcome our speaker, Faria. She is the Business Development Manager of Futurepreneur Canada. Futurepreneur Canada has supported entrepreneurs for over 2 decades. Their programs offers financing, mentoring, and resources for aspiring entrepreneurs aged 18 to 39. Faria collaborates with a partner in our ecosystem as we help entrepreneurs launch and grow their businesses. She is a marketing professor and an entrepreneur with a specialty in experiential marketing. For information, this session will be recorded and we will share the recording with you after the session. Without further ado, I will pass the mic to Faria to start the session.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Serena and Joshua and Marlena. So great to be here again in 2022. I've done this session a few times with the Ella group, as well as, the WiseBase Founder Fundamentals. So I'm really happy to be back. If you'd like to turn your cameras on and enjoy the time with me, please feel free. I want to make this a little bit of an interactive space as well. So if you have any questions at all, please stick them in the chat box or let us know in the chat box that you have a question and you're able to unmute yourself and we can have a little bit of a conversation. If you feel comfortable sharing about your business or business idea, I would love that as well. So during the session today, I'm going to have a few breaks. I won't talk the whole time, I promise, where we're going to have some Q&A time. Okay, so my name is Faria Wali. I am a business development manager at Futurepreneur. I'll tell you all about Futurepreneur and our programs as we go through the presentation today as well, if you're interested in that. If you're not interested in our financing program and kind of what we have, no worries. I really hope you can take away some tidbits and some tips and tricks for how to complete your business plan to get your business ready for launch. Okay, I'm an entrepreneur first. That's how I introduce myself. I ran a promotional staffing agency with some experiential marketing products for the last 6 years or so. My business was very heavily affected by the pandemic. So we're not very active right now, and that's okay. And I do have some other businesses under my belt, including service-based and product-based businesses. So whenever I'm sharing tips and tricks with you, they are coming from a place of empathy. I know I've been there, I've made a lot of mistakes. I want to make sure that throughout your journey, you're not making the same mistakes as I have. And I just want to give kudos to all of you for being here. One, in the middle of what seems like this forever lockdown. If you have kids at home, little ones at home who need you, no worries, bring them along. Maybe they'll learn a few things. My kids are right outside my door here. I don't even know what they're watching, but it seems like this has gone on forever. Can't wait for them to go back to school tomorrow, hopefully. And I want to really commend you for taking this step in your entrepreneurial journey. Okay, please share with each other. We're not allowed to share your personal information with each other, but if you would like to connect and share about your business or your social media or your LinkedIn in the chat box, please do. This is a networking opportunity for you as well to meet people who are in the same boat as you right now. Maybe like-minded, really excited about starting a business or already started. You never know who in the room right now is somebody that can help you. So please feel free to get social in the chat box and share your information. Cool. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. I don't want to make it too stuffy, but I do have slides that I will go through. It'll just kind of paint a really good picture for what we're going to go through today. So let me share my screen. I hope it works. I won't be able to see the chat box when I'm sharing, so Serena is going to interrupt me whenever she feels necessary to get that going. Okay, minimize that. And so this is how to write a business plan. If you are pre-launch or you just have an idea, no worries, you're still in the right place. Okay, we'll talk all about how you can leverage the business plan writer tools. A little bit about us here at Futurepreneur. So we're a national organization. We are coast to coast, and we've been around for about 25 years now. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary. So essentially what our role here is, we provide educational resources and support, free workshops just like this to entrepreneurs. More importantly, we provide financing. So if you are looking for loans for your business, we can help you with that if you are between the ages of 18 and 39, okay? If you are young at heart and don't quite meet that age range, you're still in the right place. You can still access all of the educational resources that we're going to talk about today. So no worries. A little bit about us. So this is an old slide, should be updated, which reminds me, we have supported more than 15,000 businesses. That is a really great number. We're really proud of it. And the businesses that we've supported that are majority owned by women, this number has also gone up. I think we're up to 46% now. So for all you female founders in the room, taking your next step, don't wait for perfection, get your business out there. Okay, this is a really great stat that we'd like to see at 50%, and we're here to support you in getting there. This is our Futurepreneur Business Resource Center. So all of the topics we're going to be talking about today with the business plan are all going to come from this resource center. More specifically, our business plan writer. Serena is going to share with you a link to the business plan writer. It's a safe space. It's your own creation. You create a separate login. We never get to see what you write in there unless you send it to us. So you can get to go in there and start playing around with it, getting your feet wet into the topics that are involved, the things we're going to ask you for, or any lender is going to ask you for when you're asking to complete a business plan. On the right-hand side, you can see they have tips and tools. They have articles. You can get a lot of inspiration from Futurepreneur supported businesses, and you can also get a lot of examples. So all of the examples that are in the business plan writer tool are all real life Futurepreneur supported businesses. You know, the names have been taken out or whatnot. They can really help you get started if you're not quite sure kind of where to get going. So this is a really useful tool. I do recommend everybody taking advantage of it. Okay. So for today, we're going to go through a little bit of kind of a talk. I'll talk about some content, a little bit about business plan sections, and we'll take a little bit of a deep dive through them. And at about 7-ish, we'll take a bit of a break, and then we'll come back and we're going to talk a little bit about some financials. And I'm happy to run through any questions you have about the Futurepreneur program specifically at the end of the session as well, or the second half there. So let's get started. So I guess my first question is, why is a business plan important? So I don't know if any of you want to just kind of write some things in the chat about why you think a business plan is important. So a lot of you have joined today understanding that this was a how to write a business plan workshop. So does anybody have any ideas? So May, it provides direction. Daniela says it provides structure. Anyone else want to throw some more of our words out there? A roadmap of the business, a clear thought process to remove any clutter. Brendan, details your plan. It's going too fast for me. Details your plan and how you're going to accomplish it. And of course, some dollar signs in there. Structure and guidance, vision of what you want, helps with targeting, highlight risk, and plan mitigation. Amazing. All of those things. More importantly, it is definitely that roadmap. So it's more so, yes, budgeting is really important. Visibility to show objective, you got it. So more importantly, it's a roadmap. It's a roadmap to see, to map out what you're going to do next for the launch of your business. Okay. And my favorite part about a business plan is it's going to hold your hand through all of the stages and parts of the business that you may not love. So as entrepreneurs, again, I'm going to, say this again and again, it's a lonely space. We are all 5 of our employees wrapped up into one. We're wearing all these different hats. We're not the best at everything. It's not possible. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. A business plan is going to hold your hand through all of the segments of the plan, the good, bad, and the ugly. Okay. So I really do like it for that reason. If for all of you in the room who are marketers like me, that's the section I like the most. I probably try to get to that section first. Maybe some of the operations or the financing part. That's the part that I like the least. And I tend to kind of drag my feet on that a little bit. You can't do that with a plan. You have to get it done eventually. Having said that, your plan is very fluid. And I want everybody to remember this. Think about it as being written in pencil. The plan you create today at pre-launch or even in these early stages of your business are going to be very different from the plan that you have as your business grows. Okay. So my business, for example, my experiential marketing company, the business plan I started out with had been iterated several times throughout my journey. Okay. And then now, if I do want to build up my business again, it's going to have to be kind of enhanced and improved on even more, because now we have some of the realities of our environment, like the pandemic, like the lockdown. What type of digital or online aspects can I now incorporate into my business? Maybe it's something that I've been wanting to do all along. I just haven't gotten around to it. The business plan is going to help walk me through that. Okay. So over the course of tonight, we are going to go through the 5 stages of business plan. We're going to talk a lot about company value, or your company profile rather, which is the value you bring, your market research, your understanding of your customer, finding your customers, of course, through that marketing, keeping them and fulfilling your promise in your operations. And then, of course, that long-term profitability in finance. Okay, we're going to talk a lot about viability and feasibility of your business. So a lot of you in the room today may have a really great business idea, and that's great. It sounds viable. I mean, maybe it's fulfilling a need or solving a problem that you may have as a business owner or in your own personal life. It may seem like a really great idea. The only way to really fully hash that out is if you understand the feasibility of it. Is it going to make you money? Is it going to make sales? How are you going to get there? And a lot of these stages are going to help fine tune what that looks like for you. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the company profile. This is stage 1 of your business plan. So when you go through our business plan writer, you're able to download it as a Word doc or work right in our platform. And the first thing you're going to do is provide us with a description and an overview of your business. Okay. So with this, it may seem like an easy task, but we want you to be creating a specific and clear description of what your product or your service is. So we talk a lot about your offering or your service offering here. That could mean you have a product-based business or a service-based business. And both just need to be described very, very clearly. It also needs to include what you're selling. So we need a business description with your product and your service and what you're selling. What are your customers paying for? That needs to be really clear in this section. It's going to set the tone for your whole plan. Your compelling value. Now, this is something, if we had more time, we can go through an exercise together and kind of brainstorm compelling value of a lot of different companies and things. This is where you are going to share with us a little bit of your value proposition. Many of you who are in business or in marketing would have heard this term before, or if you've completed a business model canvas, that's really popular. You're going to talk about your value proposition. Essentially, what that is your key benefits. It's going to be a very focused, short, very, very short list of your key benefits of your product or your service and how you are, differentiating yourself over the competition. Now, we don't need a big, long list. In these really early stages of your business, if you haven't launched yet, 1 is enough. So here at Futurepreneur, when we go through this process with you, we really want you to stay really focused, really niche, and we want you to be making some decisions. You have very limited resources in these early stages of your business. So we want to make sure that, your limited funds, your limited capacity, you're just one person, you're able to really hone in on a really small chunk of your business and do it really, really well. Make your mistakes with a small group or small, segment or piece of the business, and take those learnings and improvements to scale and grow the business. So that's kind of the idea behind how we ask you to make some decisions and stay focused in the business. Your next item here will be, of course, your product description. When we say product here, we also mean product or service, depending on what this looks like. Now, in the company profile, we need you to brag about yourself. As entrepreneurs, we're in the trenches every day. We really forget to celebrate those small wins. We want you to brag about yourself. Don't be humble. Let us know who the owners are, the day-to-day managers are of the business. Why are you best suited to this, to start this business? That's where you're going to tell us a little bit about your credibility. You're going to talk to us about your experience, your education, if it's relevant. If you don't have any relevant education for what you're doing or your industry, that's okay. It's not important. Any experience you have, any sort of network that you have. If you've spent a long time in, I use the restaurant industry as a really good example. If you want to open up your own restaurant or your own cafe and you've spent 10 years in the industry, that's amazing. Tell us all about that. Name drop if you can. If you've worked for some really cool establishments or some fine dining spots, talk a little bit about that. That is all really valuable experience. It will give you credibility as a business owner. Back home experience. If those of you who have run businesses in your home countries, totally legit. We want to hear all about it as well. So that is definitely going to enhance your credibility. If you have a really cool story behind your business, if you're really passionate about something, or if you have a personal story to share, that will also enhance this section of the plan. Okay. If you have cool advisors, really great family support with really great experience, maybe they're advisors to your business or mentors for you, please let us know that as well. It's also really important. And the other cool part about this, and I'll take a little bit of a question time when I'm done here. The other cool part about this company profile section is what's called the business milestones. This is where you're going to daydream a little bit. So a lot of us have, especially if you're a really true entrepreneur, visionary type, you may have all of these really robust ideas for where you want to take this business and take this company and grow it. You can't do that all in these early stages, but you can share with us what you're dreaming about and what your goals are and how you're going to scale and grow. If you are a business and you want to grow and maybe license your business model and you want to have 5 locations in the next 5 years, that's where you share that with us here. Okay, and we're going to be able to envision that daydream with you. So that is stage 1. That's your company profile. Does anyone have any questions? Serena, do we have any questions in the chat?
I didn't see any question in the chat.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, or do we want to continue?
Feel free to unmute yourself if you have any. Will this slides be shared? Yes. Oh, sorry. No, the slides will not be shared, but the resource and the recordings will be shared.
Yes, absolutely. So the slides really are just breaking down in a little bit more detail what you can find in the business plan writer. So no worries, the business plan writer is a far better tool than any of the slides I can share with you today. So an extension of the company profile that I want to spend some time on is that compelling value piece, or in other words, a validation map. This is where you're really going to do some soul searching, if you will, and give us a clear and specific kind of map for what your product and your business looks like really quickly. This is a kind of a snapshot of what we'd like to see. This can be done in a point form. I'm going to show you one that I made this morning for a workshop that I did. And essentially, you just take a piece of paper and you fold it into 4. And you're going to start listing out some of these things, when you go through this exercise. It sounds a little bit cheesy, but it's really, really useful because it's going to allow you to make some decisions. So again, we talked about the product or service. This is essentially your description. Who are you as a business in a really clear and specific statement? The best customer section, we're going to talk a lot about best customer. Essentially, you're creating a persona or an avatar of the type of customer that you want to attract. Okay. You're not going to be able to be something for everyone. You don't have enough resources to do that. You don't have that trust in the marketplace just yet. That value proposition, you're going to share with us 1, maybe 2, depending on your business, of those key benefits. And then, of course, that credibility piece, you're going to tell us a little bit about you and who you are and why you are the best person suited to run this business. So this is what this is going to look like. Once you have all of the validation map completed, it's going to turn into a little bit of a convertible pitch. That's what we like to call it. Don't get caught up in the jargon. This is essentially just bringing it all together. So this is essentially a validation map that we've created for Futurepreneur. This can share with you a little bit about kind of how to go about completing this. Keep in mind, Futurepreneur has been around for 25 years. So we have had a long time to massage this part of our business plan. But we are always still growing and still developing and adding new things based on the environment, based on our customer needs, and so on. So our business here at Futurepreneur, our product and service is really clear. We provide financing options and educational resources. What is the customer buying or what are our customers, or in our case, the entrepreneurs, what are they signing up for when they come through our financing program? They're getting diverse programming. So one of our new programs, for instance, is our Black Entrepreneur Startup Program. That only launched in March. So again, we've been around for 25 years, but we're still developing and growing as a business. So diverse programming is really what's on the shopping list here for our customers, AKA our entrepreneurs. Who's our best customer? Now, we're not something for everybody. We're a Canadian business. We service Canadian citizens or permanent residents of Canada. Just give me 1 second. There. We service entrepreneurs across the country, Canadians only, between the ages of 18 and 39. So anybody who wants to tap into our product or service, they have to be within this age range. It doesn't mean this is our only customer, but this means it's our best customer. This is who we target most of the time. Our value proposition, so some of those key benefits, we provide mentorship to all of our entrepreneurs. And also in all of our programs, we provide guidance. Okay, so when you reach out to a business development manager like me, we'll provide you through with a lot of guidance and knowledge throughout all of the stages of our business. And then, of course, that credibility piece is really important. Why should you work with Futurepreneur? Why should you come to our financing program without and not go to a bank or another lender? We've supported 15,000 businesses in our time. So we have a lot of testimonials that we can share with you as to why we may be a good fit for you. So this is essentially our compelling value. You're turning your validation map or your convertible pitch into your compelling value in a really simple, clear-cut way. And this is what it may look like for you. Okay. Let's move on to stage 2, if nobody has any questions. Okay, I think we're good.
Hello, I have a question.
Yeah, Gladys, go ahead.
Okay, so this is for people 18 to 29. Is there a similar program for 18 to 39? Is there a similar program for people above 39 where they could get help?
Right. So all of our workshops and our educational resources, our business plan writer tool, our cash flow forecasting tool, the things that I'm talking about today, those are free for everyone to access. The only part that is within that age range is if you want a loan or financing program with us. Now, for those entrepreneurs who don't meet our age range, we love to partner with those community resources like the Markham Small Business Enterprise Center. So we would send you there to kind of explore what stage of your business you're at, what your local community resources are and what your needs are. And they would be the people best suited to provide you with some of those local resources available to you. Okay, if you're looking at financing options. I think too, throughout the Founder Fundamentals series, you do also have some other speakers. Serena could probably speak to that a little bit more, that talk a little bit more about financing and lending. There was a session on that previous, Serena.
Yeah, so we have a session on February 1st about Finance 101. So we will get more information from other speakers. And Whitespace also offer many programs for all age groups. So feel free to reach out to us and also our partner MSBC as well.
Yeah, so that financing one might be a good one if you're interested in that. Any other questions? Cool. So let's continue on to stage 2. So stage 2 is really the market research segment of the business plan. So you are going to write your business plan for any lender or any investor as if we know nothing about your industry. So a lot of you are industry experts out there. You spent a long time in your space. You need to describe your industry and how it works to us like we know nothing about it. The way I like to describe this, and in a really simple way, is can you describe what you do or what your business does to your grandmother? God bless grandmothers out there, but can you simplify it enough where you're talking to your grandma and she gets it and she understands it? That's how we want you to break this down. Share with us a lot about your industry profile. We want to know a little bit about the market size that you're looking to tap into, if that information is available, and really just a little bit about how the industry works. So a lot of businesses out there, maybe even some more service-based businesses, a lot of businesses work on referrals. So you would have a really small marketing budget because maybe you have a really big network in the community or in your industry. Let us know that. Let us know how that industry works. Because if you have something very unique where you're not spending a lot on advertising, but you can still grow your business because of your experience or your expertise, let us know that. Share that with us. If you are a specific, if you have a specific designation or a specific certification, and that allows you to tap into resources from a particular association or group, let us know that as well, because that's really neat information to have. And we'll know that that gives you a lot of credibility and an ability to grow your sales just by being part of that association. Okay, so those are just examples of how your industry profile is really important. Again, your local market. You can't be something for everyone just yet. You're a small business, you're a little bit new. We want to see the geographic area that you serve. If you tell us that you're going to be launching a global company, you're not going to be setting yourself up for success. It's a big undertaking. We want you to take your business into a phased approach, biting off little chunks as you go. So for instance, with my marketing agency, we originally started in the GTA. Downtown Toronto, we were servicing a lot of marketing agencies, a lot of advertising agencies. We were getting a lot of buzz, word of mouth referrals just in the downtown core. And then we started spreading out to the GTA. When we started going to companies, marketing departments direct and not going through that third-party service, we noticed that we were growing even further, and people across the province were interested in our business. We got a little bit of buzz, and then eventually we moved out to being a national organization. And then some of those businesses we were working with also had business in the US. So we got to do some business in the US as well with some of those businesses that were cross-border. That was really cool as well. So we had a phased approach, and we grew pretty slowly to become a national organization, also doing business in the US. But our geographic area that we served in those really early days was really just around downtown Toronto and our, GTA, if you will. So we want you to really make some decisions and choose some focus as well, especially if you're a product-based business. You're going to want to spend some time worrying about your supply chain and your logistics. And if you do that in a small geographic area, that you're going to be better off, because you're going to be able to work through some kinks, and you're not going to have a lot of mishaps that way. Okay, shipping from Nova Scotia to BC, what do those costs look like? What does that timeline look like? Those are all things you have to think about if you cast a really wide net, and you have to make sure you have the logistics and the supply chain to support it. So key competitors and your SWOT analysis. This is also something that we require in the business plan, and where you need to spend some time. We'll talk a little bit about some market research techniques in a few slides, but for now, we can just talk about your competitors in terms of really benchmarking yourself against similar sized businesses. So if you are a business, a brand new business, maybe you're going to benchmark yourself against a business that's been around maybe 1 year or 2 years. They're just seeing a little bit of growth, and you're aspiring to be where they are. If you are a business, let's say a product-based business selling a commodity product, or a really cool product that's entering the market like t-shirts, maybe you're not going to benchmark yourself against Amazon or Walmart. They're just very big, very large. Yes, they're your competitors, but they have so many resources at their fingertips, you wouldn't be able to compete with that. So you're going to want to pick some indirect competitors, or find out a little bit more about similar sized companies who are selling on the Amazon platform, for instance. You're going to want to benchmark yourself on a small scale. That way you can understand the strengths and the weaknesses of your competitors and figure out which gaps you can fill in the marketplace that they can't. Okay. We are more than willing at Futurepreneur to sit down and have a chat with you about what this looks like in terms of that competitor analysis, because it is a big undertaking. Indirect competitors as well, something that we would love to talk to you about as well, because maybe some of you are creating products that don't really have direct competition, especially in your local area. You may be new to the market, which is really, really great, but there's always competition out there. Okay, where are your customers going now for the product or service that you're going to bring to market? Those businesses are going to be your competition. Your target market. We're going to talk a lot about that in the next couple of slides. Your target market, or here at Futurepreneur, we like to call it your best customer. You're going to pick a really small niche or sub-segment of the marketplace to call your best customer. It's not going to be your only customer that you serve. It's going to be the best customer that you're going to focus in on, okay? It could be B2B or B2C. So B2B is business to business, where you are selling to other businesses. For instance, let's say you manufacture granola bars. You are going to wholesale those granola bars and sell them to your local independent Whole Foods or nutrition stores. That is a B2B business. If you're a B2C business, you're a business to consumer business. You are going to be an online e-commerce apparel for women. You are going to open up a Shopify store and sell your e-commerce clothing to your customers directly. That is a B2C business model. And then we'll talk a little bit about best customer in your next slide, and a little bit of what goes behind thinking about who that person or who that group of people is going to be. Keys to success, customer attraction and customer retention. We'll talk a little bit about that in your marketing strategy that you're going to go through. It's so much cheaper and easier to retain customers than it is to attract new ones. But in these early days, you may have to spend some money. Nobody knows about you yet. You don't have a big brand following. So how are you going to capture that? That's what we're going to talk about in the marketing activities section. And then, of course, we'll talk a little bit about some customer surveys and some tips and tricks that you can do in the market research area. So before I move on to best customer, because that's a big one, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, we have two questions in the chat. First one from Lolita. Do you assist the social enterprise as well?
Yes, we do. We definitely assist social enterprise here at Futurepreneur, and your business plan would really follow the same model as what I'm going to go through today, or what I've been talking about. You just want to make sure that that social enterprise, that social aspect to your business is really highlighted in terms of your industry and that business profile piece when you're talking about your convertible pitch and who you are.
Yeah. And also another question, what's the best way to get market research on your competitors, especially companies that are not as big as others where there isn't a lot of public information available?
Oh, I love this question. Shop them, be a customer. That is the best way to scope out your competition. If you're a food-based business, if you have a storefront, sit outside their storefront with a pad and paper and take note of all the customers going in and out. Take a walk around, buy something. If they're an online store or an online service, reach out, pretend you're a customer. I don't mean this in a deceitful way, but in a market research type of way, you're information gathering. You want to know kind of what's out there and how your competitors are presenting themselves to customers. So that would be my biggest hack or my biggest trick, to shop your competition. It's really, really important.
That's all the questions in the chat.
Cool. So it's really easy for us entrepreneurs, and I say this with my entrepreneur hat on, to, especially during these months, we're on lockdown. My favorite thing to do is scroll on my phone while I'm waiting for my kids to fall asleep, and do a lot of market research that way. But nothing beats really getting out there in the community and seeing your competition in action, whether it's a service or a product. So getting out there and talking to people as well, talking to as many people as you can is really important. A really great market research tactic that I've seen, especially in my business, when I was first starting out, again, when we talked about that geographic area, I was really focused on downtown Toronto and some of the GTA. One of my competitors, she had been around about 5 to 6 years longer than I have, had some really big clients, really great sales traction. She was based out of Ajax Whitby area. I took a drive out, I reached out to her and I met up with her, and she was amazing. She was not threatened by me at all being her competition. She shared with me all of her best practices. She shared with me a lot of mistakes she made in her early years to make sure that I wasn't going to make those same mistakes. She was a really great resource for me at that time, being such a young business. And I won't forget her for it, because she wasn't threatened by me because we weren't going after the same client base, because she was in a different geographic area. She was doing a little bit of a different, she had a little bit of a different service menu, but she was willing to answer my questions and provide me with some of that intel and some of that industry workings that I didn't have quite the experience with at that time. So another market research tactic or your, competitor analysis is maybe there are some competitors in other markets who are seeing success that are willing to talk to you because you're not going after the same best customer. Okay, if you are looking to open up a juice bar in downtown Toronto and there was somebody you really admire out in Barrie and they're doing a really great job, it's really doubtful that you're going to be going after the same customer. So maybe they may want to chat with you or, share some best practices with you. So you never know. It's worth an ask. People who are successful and have seen success with their business love talking about themselves. So chances are they'll say yes to a conversation. So you never know unless you get out there and start getting in front of people. So let's move on for sake of time. I can talk about this stuff all day to talk about your best customer. So your best customer, this is really interesting because a lot of people get really caught up with this and are worried that you won't be able to reach more than just this segment of people. And that's not the case. This is your phase one. This is your 1.0 of your business. Who are you launching for? You're going to launch with a small group of people. You want to really get to know that small group of people, their buying habits, their behaviors, their lifestyle, and really make your mistakes with that small group of people before you can scale and grow to other groups. Okay, you're going to choose one customer segment. You're going to learn everything there is about them, and then you're going to replicate that to those other groups that you want to tackle as you go and as you grow. Your customer profile could look like this. I think 8 to 12 common traits is too many. I've been meaning to update this slide. I think 3 to 4 or 4 to 6 max is going to be your best bet. You're going to talk about demographics, lifestyle, behavior, scope. So if I'm a B2C brand, we talked a little bit about that online e-commerce store. I have an entrepreneur who's launching a golf apparel brand for women. Her demographics are going to be women who golf and live an active lifestyle between the ages of, I think, 28 and 38. Golf is not cheap. It's a little bit of a different kind of community. So the demographics that she's going after are a bit older. Her product is also a bit premium too, because she's new to the market. She's sourcing from some pretty high-end brands. So she wants to go after that demographic and can really afford her product. Lifestyle and psychographics. So lifestyle, they live an active life, they golf. That is like kind of self-explanatory. Behavior, they're wellness conscious. Maybe they work out, maybe they go to the gym, maybe they eat well and are visiting their local juice bars or wellness food stores. Those types of things are the types of behaviors behind her persona or her customer profile of her best customer. Now her scope. Her scope is going to be kind of the geographic region in this case of those individuals that she's targeting. Now, it doesn't mean that the only people who will buy from her store are these women between the ages of 28 and 38. It means that majority or a large group of those individuals are going to fall within that group. Perhaps she also has people who are buying gifts for the women in their lives. That could be a really big segment for this particular business. I had an entrepreneur who was selling loungewear or streetwear loungewear, targeting women between the ages of 18 and 25. She was sourcing her products or her materials, eco-friendly sourcing, fair trade cotton and all of these things. And when she took her business to market, she realized that the majority of women who are purchasing her product were in their 30s and not, in fact, in their 20s. The women in their 20s weren't willing to pay for loungewear at that price point. So she had to change and enhance and pivot a little bit of who her customer profile was after she realized that the types of personas or the best customer who was shopping with her was not, in fact, who she originally thought. Okay, so during that market research phase, you're really going to want to listen to the customers that are talking to you to find those common traits among them. Okay. Are there any questions? I see the chat going off.
Yes. So we have a question. She asked, what if you are a service-based business and you have a set demographic, but other people outside of that want to access your service? What do you do in a situation like that?
That's a great question. That's up to you. One of the things that we talk a lot about is not saying yes to everything. Are you able to service everybody, or do you need to scale your product offering or your service offering to one particular group at a time? It doesn't mean because you have a particular set of customers that you're looking to target that you don't need to talk to anybody else or that you don't need to service anybody else. It just means that the majority of people that you are going to target in your advertising, in your marketing, in your service offering is going to be people from this targeted demographic. It doesn't mean you need to turn away business. It just means that you are a brand new business with limited resources. And in most cases, you're one person, particularly for service-based businesses. If it's just you, your resources are fairly limited. So you may want to be a little bit selective in who you're servicing at that point.
Okay. Another question, under customer profile, listing common traits, do you have to list all of this common traits in the numbered format as shown in the presentation, or do you cover them in one paragraph?
No, you can make your business plan what makes sense for you. If you like writing in point form and that's clear, you can go for it. If you want to make a list, you can do that as well. It's whatever you think is clear enough to the reader that is portrayed kind of what you need and provided enough information. So it could look like this. You can use this as a template, or you can kind of write in paragraph form. That's up to you.
I think that's all the questions related to the presentation.
Perfect. So let's go through an example. One of the examples we have, a customer of ours is Sleepout Inc. So they've gotten a lot of sales traction. I think one of the big Sleep Country or one of the big brands have just partnered with them as well. Their target market includes all of these individuals. I can't make the flickering of the photo stop. So their target market and their largest existing market were new parents or people with sleep issues. Okay, so they were targeting people with similar experiences. They were also targeting shift workers at night. So their product is essentially portable blackout curtains that, originally they were targeting business travelers. They could take it with them to hotels to get a better night's sleep and whatnot. So these were all of the people that they were targeting because they conducted surveys. They did a deep analysis of reviews from their competitors' products. So Amazon reviews are a really great market research tool. If you are a product-based business, go on Amazon, take a look at the competition and read all the reviews. Those reviews will tell you everything you need to know about the gaps in the marketplace and how you need to enhance your service or your product rather. It'll tell you everything that's important to the customer. It's a really, really great tool. So Sleepout then went and built these personas around their business. Now, of course, they're a brand new business, resources were limited. They decided to go ahead and really focus on people with sleep issues. It doesn't mean they weren't going to service new parents, they weren't going to service shift workers, but majority of their advertising and their resources were going to go towards focusing on capturing and attracting people with sleep issues. They really felt that their brand was going to really resonate with those individuals. Okay. And another really interesting fact about this is one of the founders of the business, he actually was a person with sleep issues. He had insomnia issues and whatnot. That's part of the reason why he started the business. He could really relate to his customer when he was targeting these other people with sleep issues, and they really found him relatable, and it really hit home for them. So that credibility piece of the business was really the driving force in terms of what best customer that they were going to go with. He was very versed in that segment, and he could be able to speak to and service those customers a lot better because of his personal experience. So if you're at a crossroads where you're really spent and you're at capacity, you're not quite sure which way to go in terms of servicing customers. A lot of times we get the question, oh, what if my business is B2B, business to business, and B2C, business to consumer? Think about how you can serve, which segment you can serve well or better. Sometimes you only have the capacity to service the business to consumer, or maybe you only enjoy servicing the businesses. And when you deal with individuals, you're not making as much money, but you're spending more time. Maybe that doesn't work for you. So you have to really think about what type of customer you enjoy working with the most, and that's going to help you with those sales that you're looking for. Okay. A personal example from my own business. Again, we are a staffing agency in the experiential marketing space. We were working with a lot of big brands, very large companies with big budgets. We noticed that we were getting a lot of sales traction and interest from smaller mom and pop shops who wanted us to be part of their marketing materials. The thing is, when we lowered our price to try to meet their mom and pop shop budgets, we weren't making as much money, and our staff wasn't very happy because they weren't getting enough hours. They weren't getting as many hours. Where a mom and pop shop were giving our employees, our staff, maybe 2 shifts a week, the big brands we were working for could give our staff 4 to 5 shifts a week. So we realized at that point that our best customer was some of those bigger businesses and not the mom and pop shops. So when we were getting really busy, especially in those warm weather months, we realized that we had to start turning away some of those smaller businesses because we weren't able to spread all of our resources across both segments. And it was just more profitable for us to work with the bigger companies. So those are some decisions you're going to have to make as a business owner. And not saying yes to everyone is going to be key to that. Okay, I know it's really hard to turn away business, especially in these early days. And trying it out is fine, but you just have to be really aware of your resources and your capacity, especially for those service-based businesses. You know how many customers you can service really, really well in a day, in a week, and in a month. So be really true to that, because the last thing you want is to service a business or take on a task or take on a customer and you're not able to perform and do a really, really good job. Those poor negative reviews or poor testimonials could really hurt you more than just saying, you know what, we're not the right fit for you. We're not the right customer. We're not the right business for you. So that's something to think about. Does anyone have any other questions before we move on to sales and marketing?
Yes, Faria, I think we can pause here. We're approaching to 7 o'clock. We want to have a break. But before the break, Michelle has a question. Michelle, do you want to unmute yourself and have a conversation with Faria?
Yeah, so my question was like, I guess, like in my experience, like I think for businesses, it's really important to, like, of course there's limitations, but I feel like that still leaves out like a community, for example, like folks with disabilities that are often left out due to kind of like there isn't enough resources for like access needs or things like that in like websites and services. But because those access needs are things that like are needed into a lot of times, but like sometimes businesses might not like be aware of that. I mean, is there any like trainings or resources or like people that are like doing research on like what are ways that, because I feel like it shouldn't be because there isn't those access needs that people can't access those services, even though there's like a limited budget, of course, and things like that.
Yeah. So again, I'm gonna reiterate this again, and I have to do that every time we talk about best customer. I have to remind the group that your best customer is not your only customer. It doesn't mean you're turning people away. That's not what it's saying at all. It's saying that you need to have a general idea of the types of customers that are going to really resonate with you in these early stages. Because you don't have, if you were to go ahead and in this planning phase, say, I'm here for everyone. I'm here for everyone. I'm here for everyone in, across the globe. You won't be able to successfully tailor your product or your service to everyone because everyone's needs are so different. So this is in no way excluding anybody or any group, or not providing, proper accessibility to any customer. This is more just generalizing the types of customer that you want to go after. It's in no way are you turning anyone away. If that is important for you as a business owner to have, accessibility, to follow accessibility guidelines on your website or in your storefront or whatever it is beyond a regulatory perspective, absolutely, by all means, go for it. So in no way is the best customer concept exclusionary at all. So I don't know, Michelle, if that has helped answer your question.
Yes, I mean, it's something that I'm personally kind of like researching on, just because like, I mean, there's certain things that are, for example, free, like image description. You just have to describe the image and the logo. Like that's, I mean, it takes time, of course, but I feel like it's for the long run for like,
and
I'm not saying
that's
like, I'm not saying for like every single person, but I feel like just like things that are happening in society in general, like I think that, there's things that can be done. And I was just wondering if there's something in the business, I mean, realm or something that's happening that maybe I'm not aware of, and just like any tips on that.
I know there's a lot of experts and consultants that are coming out now, just trying to make businesses more aware from a diversity and inclusion perspective. And I think that's really positive. That's really great. I mean, even at Futurepreneur, we have a diversity and inclusion council that's making sure that we're being very aware of all types of customers and clients that we serve and the community we're in. So I definitely think there's a growing presence there for all businesses. And if that is something that's important to you as an entrepreneur, that could be something you could highlight as part of your compelling value in your business profile. If you think a lot of your customer base is going to really resonate with that and appreciate you for it, definitely highlight that as part of your compelling value for your business. And the types of customers who really appreciate what you're doing from that perspective, will sing your praises and be really great brand ambassadors for you and your business. So thanks for my big talk on the best customer. Keeping in mind that there's a lot of businesses out there that are, targeting more than just, the usual demographics. Depends on the business, depends on, sorry, Michelle, I saw you unmuted yourself there. Did you have any other question? No? Okay, that's okay. So who are targeting kind of different communities and different types of customers. So that is really neat. So Serena and maybe even Joshua, I know here at Futurepreneur, we have worked with a few disability consultants, and that's their business. So they are looking at working with small businesses on how those businesses can be more accessible. So to people with disabilities and whatnot. So if you wanted to share any contacts that you may have, I think that might be a great resource too for some earlier stage businesses too. I'll do some digging in our Futurepreneur database and also pass them along when I find them, so we can share with everyone as well. Let me continue sharing my screen, and then we're going to go through some sales and marketing. Okay, Serena, I can't see anyone anymore. Can you see my screen in full screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So stage 3 is sales and marketing. This is a really interesting segment. This is going to be very different for a lot of different businesses, but a lot of the themes are going to be very similar. So let's talk a little bit about pricing. So pricing with a new business is going to be very interesting. It's very difficult to increase your prices later. You want to make sure that you're not competing on price, which means you don't want to come out and be just the cheapest person in the market, the cheapest business in the market. That may tell your customers or may be synonymous with a lesser quality of a product or service. You want to do enough of a competitor analysis where you're coming in right at, the competitor average, or a little bit higher if you can show your value. So if your value proposition or your compelling value for your business has things that are very niche or very premium, Maybe you're pricing yourself above the competition, and that's okay, as long as you have those things to back it up. So my biggest advice about pricing is never compete on price. I spoke to an entrepreneur last week who is opening up a granite countertop and installation business. He will be only the second person in his community with such a business. And he wanted to come in pretty low, lower than the competition. When I asked him a little bit about, his strengths and weaknesses and his competitor strengths and weaknesses, he indicated that, he felt that he was going to be providing a more timely service, a better quality granite, and he was going to, up the ante on that customer service that he felt that his competition wasn't providing. So my pushback to that was, you're going to be providing a better service than your competition. You shouldn't be pricing yourself lower than the competition. You should be right there in line with him or her, or even above. If you're going to come out there and you have a better quality of materials that you're using, you're sourcing from a better supplier or a different supplier, that may be justification for having a higher price point. Okay. Again, this is going to differ for everyone. And maybe you have tiered pricing, or you have pricing packages, or maybe if you are, new to an industry or new to a market, you may want to do limited time offer pricing. That may be another workaround, so that your customers know that your pricing as it stands right now is going to just get your feet in the door, get some feedback and testimonials, and you know that that price is going to go up at some point. Okay, just so you're making sure that you're being very transparent and open with your customer base. Your second part is your marketing strategy. So we're going to dive deep into what those top marketing activities are going to look like in a few slides. So I'm just going to pause on that for a little bit. Your sales process. In your business plan, you need to share with us what that sales process looks like. That means that you are going to share with us your sales cycle from the time your customer engages with your product or your service to the time that they pay you. Are they getting emails when their product is being shipped? Are they getting a scheduling confirmation when they book your service? How long from the time they're interacting with your brand in those very early stages to the time they pay you? What does that look like? Are they paying you in 30 days? Are they paying you on the spot? Are they paying you half now or half after the job is done? What does this look like for you? We want to know all about that in this segment of the plan. Another really key component to sales and marketing, and my personal favorite, are strategic alliances. Strategic alliances and partnerships are going to be key to your business. Remember, you're a brand new business. Some of you may not have even launched yet. You don't have a brand. You don't have that trust in the marketplace just yet. So you want to build that through letting other businesses and other partners in the community share your praises, okay? And help build that trust with your customer base for you. So your strategic alliances are going to want to go after the same best customer that you're used to going after. I have an entrepreneur who sells keto baking mixes. She sells keto baking mixes to health conscious people. Typically their lifestyle, and this is just generalizations, this doesn't mean everyone. Typically they are living a healthy lifestyle. They're shopping at their indie, nutrition stores. They are, participating in wellness activities, maybe yoga, maybe they're runners, things like that. She has a lot of really great strategic alliances with those like-minded businesses who are also attracting her best customer. So she'll have a really great relationship with the local juicery near her, the nutrition store where her keto baking mixes are being sold. She'll have a really great strategic alliance or partnership with the local farmers market. She found that a lot of her best customers are also the best customers of the local farmers market. She'll set up a stand, they'll cross promote for each other. There's a lot of trade-offs and win-win there. So don't forget your strategic alliances. I have a lot of contractors I work with in terms of getting their businesses going, like subcontractors. They oftentimes will connect with property developers or real estate agents. I have a lot of interior designers who are really strong partners with real estate agents because they're reaching the same customer. When a real estate agent sells a house, Perhaps that house needs some redecorating or some renovations. That's a really great strategic alliance to have. I also have a lot of dog groomers that I've worked with, and a lot of dog groomers have really strong partnerships and strategic alliances with their local vet clinics and vet offices. So if I'm taking my pet, especially first time pet owners, like so many of people became during the pandemic, you're going to go to your vet, you're going to say, okay, this is great, I need a dog groomer. And that vet clinic can also refer business your way if you're that dog groomer. It's a really great way to channel new business. So don't be afraid to make those strategic alliances with local businesses in your community and like-minded businesses as well who are going after the same type of customer. That's going to be really, really important. I'm just going to check the chat box here. Okay.
There's no questions.
No questions right now. Okay. So let's dig into sales and marketing activities. So this is your action plan for how you're going to start generating sales. Now, posting on social media right off the bat is not a marketing activity. Creating content for your social media pages for you as an entrepreneur or your business is not a marketing and sales activity. You're going to want to pick very specific top 3 marketing activities with budgets around them. So the key here is to have an action plan that's going to start generating sales really quickly. So it means that as soon as you action this item, you can almost see how many sales you're going to get from it. Okay. What are the results you're going to foresee in these sales? And you need to be very, very specific. So a lot of us for our businesses, no matter what industry, if we're a service or a product, are going to have social media listed. We not only want to know that you're using social media, we want to know exactly what platforms you're using, okay? And what details you're going to be, what details you're going to be sharing on that particular platform. So what are you going to do? What platform are you going to be using? How often is this activity going to occur? How much money is it going to cost you? So what's essentially your monthly marketing spend or your marketing budget? And what can you expect in terms of interest or sales from that activity? This is what we call your return on your marketing spend or your return on your advertising spend. So this is your marketing and sales activity. This is what it would look like. I do suggest using this template, especially if you're going through our Futurepreneur program. This is what we like to see, okay? Now your marketing and sales activity could look something like this. So in the event of my keto baking mix entrepreneur, this is what her example looks like. She is going to be doing direct sales. She's going to be targeting small and medium-sized health food stores in her local area. So she is physically going to be out there visiting store managers and owners with samples of her product in person. She wants to hit 16 stores a month. It's going to cost her $70 a month in samples because you have to make sure you're catering for that product cost. She's going to be devoting 20 hours a week for this, including that time it's going to take her to follow up after she's had that first meeting. Keep in mind your marketing activity and the way we look at it here, we need to see that you have enough time to actually do this. 20 hours a week, this is a lot, but is she going to be able to kind of work with her co-packer to get her product ready, do her marketing activities, do her business operations, service her current clients, and do this 20 hours a week? That would be my first question to my entrepreneur. Do you have that time to spend? Because this is a lot. In her interest in sales, she expects that for every 4 stores she visits, that 2 of those stores are going to be interested. And every second interested store is going to buy an average case. And that means she's going to take on 4 new stores a month. So when she does her sales forecasting, as we're going to show you in a minute, you're going to see that incremental sales growth based on some of these numbers. Now, your business may not be so direct in terms of its selling or its marketing activity. Maybe, as I mentioned earlier in the session, maybe you're a consulting company and a lot of your referrals come through that word of mouth or other businesses referring you out to other businesses perhaps. That is a really great marketing activity. So what we want you to do in that instance is share with us a little bit about what those numbers look like. If you don't have sales yet, you're going to use industry averages or your experience in the industry. Let's say you're a bookkeeper, you work for an accounting firm, and you worked for an accounting firm for 5 years, and you know that 50% of their client base or their client growth in the last year were from referrals. You can indicate that to us here. So your action taken is going to be referrals. You're going to expect that 50% of your client base or 50% of your growth is going to come from referrals or people in your network. And here's how much it's going to cost in time, because you're going to be doing maybe an email blast or, LinkedIn direct messaging. How much does that cost you in LinkedIn premium a month? How many hours are you devoting to that? And how many clients you expect to sign on with you and your bookkeeping service? That would be the kind of calculation or metrics that we want to see in your marketing activity example. So it doesn't always have to be this specific. Another really great example I had was a restaurant. They were a breakfast food spot. They were open from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day. And their biggest traffic driver was a lawn sign outside of the highway ramp, just off of the highway ramp that was really close to their location. And they were getting so many customers from that. So they did a little bit of an analysis. They talked to the landlord of the plaza they were in to get some numbers on exactly how much foot traffic or car traffic in this case goes by the plaza and sees their storefront. And they were able to do a little bit of an analysis on how much of a percent of those individuals are going to come by and buy coffee from them or have breakfast in their location. Those types of metrics are what we're looking for in this section of the plan. So you can also list an existing customer base that you have as well. If you've been in business for a few months and you've gotten some sales traction, let us know what that looks like. Let us know how many clients you've served already and how you got them. So do a little bit of an analysis. I have an entrepreneur I've worked with who's a paralegal. She serviced 10 clients in the last 6 months. And right now she's doing the exercise where she's diving a little bit deep to find out where they came from. I think in her industry as well, a lot of those came from referrals. So out of those 10 clients, I think maybe 6 or 7 of them have come from referrals. So she's going to be doing a little bit of an analysis. I think the other 2 have come from, she put an ad in the local community newspaper. I think that's where a couple of the others came from. She's going to do a little bit, excuse me. She's going to do a little bit of an analysis there to figure out kind of what her marketing activities are going to be. Okay, so use the information you have at hand. And even if you've had a couple customers, maybe you've only had 1 or 2, or maybe you've only had friends and family sample your product, do a little bit of digging to see what types of activities are really going to resonate with your best customer. So in the example that I gave earlier of my entrepreneur who was really focused on selling her loungewear to women between the ages of 18 and 25, she was doing a lot of advertising on TikTok. She realized really quickly that women in their 30s aren't quite on TikTok just yet. She did a little bit more Instagram, Facebook ads. She realized that she got a lot more sales traction that way than she did with her Instagram marketing activity. So you have to make sure that your marketing activities really line up with that persona that you've described in your best customer. Again, it's not your only customer, but it's going to be your most common theme that have come out of your sales. Okay, who are the individuals that are buying your product or using your service the most at this early stage? Okay, and be really specific on the budget. We're going to talk a little bit about that in the financials piece. You're going to want to share with us what that monthly budget looks like. So I'm going to be looking for that advertising spend and what we call your cost, your customer acquisition cost. How much money are you spending for your advertising and how many sales do you expect to gain from that? Some industries have really low customer acquisition costs just naturally, and some of them have really high ones. If you're looking to open up a platform, start a platform of any sort, your customer acquisition costs in those really early days to get downloads and users, especially paying customers, is going to be very, very high. But in the case of maybe a restaurant in a really busy, great location, your customer acquisition cost may not be that high. So those are just some things to think about. Do we have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. So where it says interest sales, and it says for each 4-store visited, 2 stores will be interested. I was just wondering, because for me, I find that one of the most challenging things is projecting sales and guessing how many people will be interested. So I find that these parts are always the hardest to complete. So I was just wondering, what was she basing these numbers on?
Yeah, that's a great question. She was basing this numbers on the fact that she had sales already. Prior to her gaining sales, and she didn't have a lot of sales, she was just selling, I think, maybe a couple of months at the time of making this plan. Prior to that, when she was pre-sale, she was looking at her market research. She had been in the food product industry for a long time, and she had a really strong understanding of who her customer base was. And she had some experience working for some other companies. So she was making some guesstimates simply based on some conversations she's had with store managers of these health food stores, and how often they take on new products, how often they will sign on with new businesses and things like that. So her market research prior to her launch was really robust. She spent a lot of time there talking to a lot of people in the industry.
Thank you.
We also have some questions in the chat. Peter asked for the non-for-profit organization, social impacts and social investments are extremely important. Where does this fit in the business plan, especially marketing, operations, and finance?
Yeah, so it fits into all of those pieces. So you would share with us a little bit about what that looks like in each of those sections, the marketing, operations, and the finance piece. Part of your marketing strategy as well may have a big social component, and that's where you're going to want to kind of communicate that to us there.
Another question, how would you project growth if your business is a social enterprise?
Yeah, it's going to be the same. You're going to need to know if your social enterprise is going to be, not profitable in the traditional sense, but if you're going to be, making enough money to make an impact. So your sales assumptions are going to be the same. It's a case of you need to be making, profit before you can make that impact from a social perspective. So your projected growth is really going to look like that as well, unless you're a charity. But if your social enterprise, is a for-profit, has a for-profit component, it's going to really work the same. Yeah. May, is yours like a social purpose business? What is your business? If you wanted to share. If you don't, that's okay too. I put you on the spot there.
Yeah, it's Peter. I didn't get a clear answer on where you put social impact in the business plan.
Yeah, so if you are a social purpose business, Peter, you're going to be sharing that with us in all of the sections that it's relevant. And in which case, it's going to be part of your business profile in the beginning. You're going to share a little bit about what that looks like in the marketing segment. You're going to put what that looks like in terms of your operations and how you're actually helping, your cause. So it's really going to be part of, your explanations throughout. There's no one particular section that's going to go that you're going to, say, here's the social purpose of it. It's going to be throughout the entire document. Because in our case, measuring the outcomes is extremely important. Yeah, of course. So your marketing activities may look a little bit different. Instead of, interest in sales, that could be, you're talking about that impact piece. So instead of interest in sales, it may be impact. How many people are you reaching if that's your goal? Or, how are you monetizing that in terms of investing it back into your social purpose? So your business plan could be really what you make it, and definitely tailor it to suit your business needs. The business plan writer and the business plan kind of that I'm going through right now is very much trying to be something for everyone. So again, we're not very focused and niche with the plan. We're trying to be something for everyone. So you really have to tailor it to kind of let your business model shine throughout the document. So I hope that helps, Peter. I know it's a bit of a roundabout answer.
Do you recommend using bplans.com in terms of the examples that they have?
I'm not too familiar with that particular site. I may be biased. I do enjoy our template, but if you find another template that works better for your business, then by all means, if that helps you communicate who you are as a business better, you're very welcome to use it.
Well, they have 500 examples.
There you go. So perhaps you can find one more tailored to you. I would caution all of our entrepreneurs, or just maybe remind all of our entrepreneurs when you're using templates and examples, you're still going to have to do a fair amount of tailoring to make sure your personality, your type of business, and who you are is really coming across. So even the templates that we have auto-populated in our own Futurepreneur business plan writer, they're not enough detail, and they're not enough of your personality that can come through in them. So I would ensure that you're all tailoring your business plans really to let who you are shine. So May, you just kind of typed in the chat here who you are. Okay. So your business is called Imani's Mommies. Young Mothers on the Move is a community organization that works for the betterment of young, single, working, stay-at-home, and school-going Black mothers ages 15 to 30. Okay. Our mission is to provide support, workshops, mom groups, events, career development, education, resume help, assisted childcare donations, and more. Oh, that's amazing! Such a great cause. You have a very clear business profile, business description. You have a very clear best customer that you've listed here, along with some of your descriptive key benefits and your value proposition. So this is an excellent kind of synopsis, May, of your business. So again, similar to what I mentioned to Peter, your marketing activities are going to look a little bit different because you're really going to want to, your marketing activity is really going to go after those support networks and support systems for that business. Okay. But at the same time, your cost, there may be a cost associated with how you're going to go out and reach out to those supports or those businesses that are going to help you. The interest in sales piece, again, is going to be more on how many of these other businesses that are going to support you and provide you with resources. That may be how you measure that. Okay, maybe you're going after one business a month to help provide this service to your customer.
Faria, we have 25 minutes left. I want you to give you time to finish your deck, and we can leave all the questions at the end if we have time.
Yeah, of course. We will have another Q&A time, so no worries. Let's keep going. So essentially what this looks like, and there's not too many more slides left, so we can definitely talk about your specific businesses here. Your 4 key questions that are going to be answered as you're going through this exercise with the business plan is, what's your idea? Who's your target market? What is that key benefit? And who are you as a business? Okay, that validation map that I showed you in the first couple of slides, that's really key and really important. It's really going to have you focus and describe in really simple terms what this looks like for you. This could be applicable to social purpose businesses and businesses including products or services. And it's really what you make it. We're simplifying this process at this stage really to get your business launched and get your business going. We all have a lot of really great objectives and milestones that we want to have for the business. We have a lot of dreams for it, but you have to start somewhere. And a lot of the time you have to start with an MVP, your minimum viable product. An MVP for any business is your basic features, your basic, I call it the 1.0 of business. It's not going to be something for everybody just yet. You're not going to have all the bells and whistles because you're really just starting out with limited capacity, limited resources. You're just one person. So you're really going to want to pick and choose what's important to you as an entrepreneur and as a business. Okay, these few items that you're going to be launching with. I mean, you're going to spend some time here with just this one MVP or basic version of your business. So you're really going to want to focus in on what's important to you and prioritize what you value as a business. And you're going to do that by answering these 4 questions. Okay. Again, some of those things we've talked about already in that market research phase. Visit your competitors. We talked a lot about that. Interview successful people in your industry. So in the example I gave you of my counterpart, who was a little bit more aspirational, her business has done a little bit better than mine. Her business is a little bit more established. I interviewed her, and the learnings that I got were amazing and super valuable. I implemented some of those things and best practices she shared with me right away, and I was able to save a lot of time and money and not make some of those same mistakes that she did. Surveying potential customers. This is fine. I find surveys to be very impersonal, and it's really important to get out there and talk to people if you can, especially during these times. Surveying potential customers is really great. In this case, you're going to want to know the questions and the answers that you want an answer to. So you have to be really specific with surveying customers. You're also going to want to choose a best customer in a smaller group of individuals, perhaps. Or this is the time where you send a survey out to all people you think could even possibly potentially be interested in your business. And once you do that, you'll get to know a little bit more about some of those themes and those common traits of those people who are really resonating with what you have to offer. And then, of course, we talked a little bit about the trade shows and association meetings. If you're a business where you require certifications or licenses or particular designations, lean on those associations. Those associations are going to bring you really close to people who are like-minded and customers who are in your industry, who are really going to resonate with you. Okay. And stage 4, operations. We have 2 more stages to cover in the next few minutes. I won't spend too much time on operations because this, again, is going to vary business to business. You're going to want to make sure that you are including in your plan any legal and regulatory items. If you are a regulatory industry, an industry that's heavily regulated or have a lot of regulatory items in there, like if you're a daycare, there's a lot of components that go in there in terms of a regulatory piece. You're going to want to have to do some research and share that with us. I had an entrepreneur the other day opening up an at-home, she's a nurse, opening up an at-home like injectables company. Those are getting really popular these days. She had a lot of regulatory health and safety standards to meet. And she also needed a medical director. So that was something that we had to check off the list. These are all things that you need to research when you're working through your plan. Insurance. If you came through a program like ours at Futurepreneur, you are required to have liability only insurance. You may want to reach out to a company to find out a little more about how much that will cost and what that looks like. HR. So when we say HR, this is kind of all encompassing. If you have wages or you're going to be hiring a team, what does that look like? And process and production. This is something really, really important. It's going to be a little bit more kind of robust for product-based businesses. We need to know what your order fulfillment process looks like, especially if you're sourcing goods internationally. We need a little bit of a supplier analysis. We need to know that you have a backup plan in case any of your suppliers go MIA or shut down. We want to make sure that your supply chain is seamless so that if there's any interruption to that supply chain, there won't be any interruption to your business. And then, of course, a risk assessment. This is the big one these days. The best time to plan for the worst of your business is right now. You're the most optimistic and enthusiastic and positive about your business. So the best time to plan for the worst is going to be when you're at this stage and you're really optimistic about your plans. So you're definitely going to want to talk a little bit about what all of these risks look like, and the business plan walks you through that. And in addition to this, we also need a COVID risk assessment for service-based and for product-based businesses. You're going to want to share with us, and it's not just for purposes of our application or anything like that, it's more for yourselves. You're starting a business in a pandemic especially. What does this look like? Should we be in a lockdown situation again? Or down the road? Do you have the ability to pivot to an online model? Are you able to service customers through a pandemic successfully? Those are things, all things to think about at this stage. Okay. I know with Founders Fundamentals and the program that there may be a legal expert or maybe even an insurance provider who comes in to chat with you. I don't know, Serena, if that's still happening.
Yeah, so next week, January 25th, we will have a legal basics for entrepreneurs. So this is session, and we also have an insurance for entrepreneurs in March. So feel free to check out those sessions online.
Amazing. So I definitely, if these are, while we were talking today or while I'm sharing with you, if these were things that made you perk up a little bit, that, hey, maybe I need to spend some more time here, tap into some of these resources, some of these free legal advice. Like, that's a no-brainer. Like, attend the session, ask as many questions as you need to. Same if there's like an accountant or an accounting session, definitely pick the brains of these professionals who can definitely tell you a little bit more about some of these regulatory things, your legal structure, should you incorporate, should you not, what some of these insurance issues may look like for your business. Definitely spend some time talking to the experts in your operations segment. And let's go through the financials, and then we can take a little bit of a Q&A time before we close off. So your financials are going to look at these early stages very optimistic, and that's fine. We just want to make sure that they are grounded in some sort of reality. Again, when we went through our marketing activity section, we want to have some sort of rationale or calculation or metric for how you came up with your advertising costs, for instance. So it doesn't have to be spot on, but we have to have some sort of idea. If you're going to be spending $5,000 a month on social media advertising, we need to see what you think your return on that advertising spend is going to be, which is why we need that breakdown in that marketing activity section. We need to see the breakdown in the platform you're using, how much you're spending each month, what your conversion rates may be, all of those things. There's such a wealth of knowledge in terms of that digital marketing and digital social media marketing on the web based on industry that you can do some research in. And another thing that you can do in terms of market research is run a test ad. I don't know if it's going to, don't spend a lot of money, run a test ad, see what those parameters look like, get familiar with it, see what those customers are saying about you. Another thing that I'll caution everyone on with social media advertising is you have to have a really strong sense of who your best customer is prior to spending a lot of money on social media ads. Okay, you have a very small window, and you have to have a very narrow focus when you are pressing go on those paid ads. So definitely have a niche in mind. Again, it's not going to be your only customer. It's going to just be a small sampling or a smaller group of customers that you're going to be, going after in those really early stages. So let's talk a little bit about startup costs. A lot of you are pre-launch. This is where you're going to calculate what your startup costs look like. So our cash flow forecast, again, the link will be sent to you by Serena after the call, after our workshop today. And you're going to want to look at what all of your one-time costs are going to be. So when we look at the startup costs section of your financials, we look at this as your shopping list. As soon as you receive this investment, or as soon as you receive our loan, for instance, or a commercial bank loan, or you're getting a friends and family, gift, you are going to want to complete this the startup cost as a shopping cart, a shopping list. As soon as you receive our funds, here are the big spends. Maybe you're doing a big inventory order. You've prototyped your product, you've done some product development, and now you're ready to press go on that initial PO. This is where you're going to show us how much money you're going to spend. You're going to be putting a deposit down on a rental space. Maybe you have first and last month's rent that you need to spend on with building improvement costs. Okay. Maybe you have none of that. Maybe you're a service-based business and you just need a new computer and a business license, and that's all you put in here. That's fine. So your startup costs may look as busy or as clean as your stage of business. Okay. So as you go through, and again, you can play around with this sheet when you get the link. you are going to share with us a little bit more about what those monthly sales looks like, your sales assumptions. We here want to see only 4 categories. So if you have a business that has a lot of service offerings, we're going to ask you to group them into your 4 main categories, either by price range or by type of service or type of product, whatever makes sense for your business. I had an entrepreneur opening up a dosa restaurant. And the menu offering for a dosa place, she had like 50 different types of dosas that she was selling, but they were all between $10 and $12. So instead of trying to list all 50 flavors or all 50 types, she clumped them into 2 different categories, a dine-in option and a delivery option. And she had an average price point of $11. So that was a really easy way for her to just kind of project how many customers she expects to serve and simplifying her cash flow. Okay, we just need to see a really quick snapshot of what you expect this to look like. In the sales assumption section as well, you're going to want to show the ebbs and flows of your business. Maybe it's seasonal. We need to see that seasonality in your business. In the case of an accounting firm, bookkeeping, tax preparation, you're going to see a lot of sales, really high growth sales in the spring months during tax season. Maybe in December, you have no sales or very little sales. We need to see the ebbs and flows of what that looks like for you. If you are a landscaping company, same thing. What does that look like? Are you doing majority of your business between, the warm weather months? What happens in the winter months? What types of services are you offering at that point? Okay, so this is just kind of how you're going to be thinking about it. Again, you're going to indicate your funding sources, and any sort of inventory would be relevant for any product-based businesses or your food businesses as well. Okay, and then this is the bottom of the sheet, continued. This is what it looks like when you are sharing with us what your expenses look like. So we talked a little bit about those advertising and promotion costs, some of those general expenses. We did talk about your owner's draw and salary. I'm not sure if we talked about it in this session or not, but we don't believe in the days of the starving entrepreneur. So here at Futurepreneur, we make it mandatory that you are budgeting to have an owner's draw in your cash flow forecast. We need to see that you're taking pressure off of your personal financial life and you're budgeting for your personal financial life outside of the business. Okay, that's really, really important. You're going to enjoy the process of entrepreneurship so much better. You're going to enjoy kind of making money and that growth of the business, and you'll really be able to savor it if you know that your personal financial life is budgeted for already. Okay, so not all of these expenses are going to make sense for you or make sense for your business. We just need to see that you're thinking about these things and you're budgeting for them. Employee contractor wages. So we talked a little bit about seasonality and incremental sales growth. If you are showing us a really great incremental sales growth and steady growth for your business in your sales assumptions, right over here, we're going to need to see those same seasonality and same incremental growth to your contractor wages, especially for you service-based businesses. You're not going to be able to service as many customers as you'd like just by yourself. So you need to show us at what point in your business are you going to need help. You're going to need to be hiring another person or, hiring part-time staff to help you if you're a seasonal business, that sort of thing. So that's what we need to see here. So the different types of funding that you may experience are, bootstrapping. You put this together yourself. You tested the model yourself. You're going to get a small business loan, either from Futurepreneur or a commercial bank loan, perhaps. You're reaching out to friends and family, or you have your, your own investment part of that bootstrapping piece. And this is what is going to help you take your business to the next level financially. Anything that you do in this realm, you are going to indicate that to us in the business plan part of the financials part of the business plan. Okay, you're going to want to explain away some of these things and talk a little bit about what that looks like. Okay, so that's it for like the formal piece of the presentation. We do have a little bit more on our Futurepreneur programming. Just really quickly, our startup program, we have a maximum loan of $60,000. It comes with a mentorship, support from our entrepreneur in residence, and we have other specialized Futurepreneur opportunities. We also have specialized programming for Black entrepreneurs, Indigenous entrepreneurs, as well as part-timers. So our side hustle program is a really great one. If you are a part-time business, you have a full-time job, you just want to kind of run your business on the side, we do have a loan program as well with a maximum loan of $15,000 for that program. So if any of those programs are of interest to you, if you feel like that's important to get a loan for your business, it's not for everyone. And if you can start your business without debt, that's even better. But if you are interested in that, please do send me an email and I'll be happy to kind of walk through what that program looks like with you.
Faria, I have a question. So for the income statement part, if you are working on your business plan, but you are pre-launch, what would you put there? Do you just leave it out, or what do you do?
No, so you have to make some assumptions. You have to make some calculated assumptions based on your market size, any sort of testing or sampling you've done for your business already, really getting to know that best customer. And that scope, if you're picking a particular geographic area, what that looks like, you're going to have to make some sales assumptions to how many people you think you can capture with your business, even before you've launched.
Thank you.
We do have a series called Rock My Business. I don't know if it was linked in the email I sent you, Serena. I can't remember. It's a really great workshop series that we run at Futurepreneur. It takes you on a deep dive through a lot of what we talked about today, the business plan, as well as the cash flow forecast. So if you're really interested in figuring out how to make some of those sales assumptions, you can definitely go ahead and register for some of those. Our next session, I think Rock My Business Plan is in 2 weeks from now. We are still running some sessions this week for Rock My Business Idea. That's where we just kind of go through that validation map that I talked about. And we have French and English language programming available.
Yeah, I'm sharing the Rock My Business links again in the chat. So
perfect.
Register that.
I see Ken posted a question. Our startup program loans are for people who are taking their business full-time. Yeah, you're making your business your primary full-time commitment. And that's $60,000. And if you have a 9-to-5 and you want to keep it, we can provide you with $15,000 for a part-time business. Again, you have to be between the ages of 18 and 39, and all of our loans are personally guaranteed. They're not business loans, so we would kind of take a look at your personal credit score. And the documents you would need are the business plan and the cash flow forecast. So our step 1 is we assess kind of your eligibility based on your credit score. And then step 2, we assess viability and feasibility of the business through completion of this business plan and cash flow forecast. And our cash flow forecast has to be done on our template. That's kind of how we streamline our assessment here.
Thank you so much, Faria, for delivering this amazing presentation, and very glad to have you here, answer all the questions that we have. Thank you everyone for attending the Fundamentals, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.